Hello and welcome to Debunk Kenya, a channel where we bust myths and put out facts. When buying a car in Kenya, one can't but help come across several lies from car salesmen and many tricks to compel you buy. Car salesmen have been known to misguide buyers by repeating industrial cliches that are in fact false. Today we look at the things Kenyans have been led to believe are important to consider when buying a car and why they may not be what you think or what you need to lay emphasis on when choosing your ride. Number 1. The number plate series. Most Kenyans are obsessed with number plates and will buy a vehicle with the latest number plate because they believe that it's newer. The truth is that it could be newer, but the car next to it could have an older number plate but is in way better condition and still has more life left in it than this one with the latest plates. Dealers also encourage you to buy latest plates because they make more money on those cars considered as new. One must understand that number plates are primarily for a vehicle's identity. Its role in the valuation of a car or even its worth is very minimal. When buying a car, the emphasis should be less on the plates and more on its condition. Number 2. Engine capacity. Most people when shopping for a car are made to believe that the lower the engine capacity, the lower the fuel consumption. This is partly true, but ultimately it really has to do with how well matched the engine and transmission are to the car. If a small engine has to work too hard, it can be just as inefficient as having too big an engine. There is more to fuel consumption than just the engine cc. In fact, the small Formula 1 engine, which is 1.6 liters, is using more fuel than a Land Cruiser VX by far due to the increased air intake and processing capability. Factors like how good a driver is at balancing speed versus engine revolution versus the gear will also determine how well the car will use fuel. Therefore, fuel consumption is a delicate balance of many factors and doesn't just depend on one thing alone. Number 3. Mileage done by the vehicle in the past. Whenever you go to a car yard in Kenya, most of not all the cars have only done 80,000 kilometers. The seller will tell you how by local standards that is low mileage. This may be true, but the hidden truth is that most of the cars sold in the yards are ex-Japan, and in their country of origin, these cars are really driven. Most Japanese vehicle will be disposed with a mileage of at least 150,000 kilometers. Our local dealers will get these cars and wind down the odometer to reflect a lower mileage than the true one. With current technology, even digital odometers are wound back by tens of thousands of kilometers. So do not be convinced of a low mileage by a dealer, it could easily be a fixed one. Sometimes closer inspection of the car can reveal the more probable range covered by the car so far. Particular parts of a car wear out more as the car is in continual use. Looking at things like the brake pad, the steering wheel condition, or even the seats themselves can give you a rough idea on how long the car has worked for the previous owner and if it matches what you see in the odometer. Number 4. Cars with expensive spare parts are hard to maintain. In Kenya, the German and European cars are considered expensive cars because their spare parts are above Japanese cars when it comes to replacing parts. However, one must know that most Kenyan car dealers will only stock Japanese vehicles because they have a higher profit margin. They will therefore only point you to the advantages of a Japanese-made vehicle. Another factor to consider is that the spare parts of a German vehicle are more expensive but will outlast Japanese car spare parts, thus a lower replacement rate for the German cars. In the long run, German cars are actually moderate in maintenance cost. When well taken care of, one actually will notice that the German vehicles are more reliable and always give better performance on the road than their Japanese counterparts. They are not only technologically superior but also give the customer longevity. Number 5. Lady owner myth. There is a myth that presupposes that cars owned by ladies are always in good condition. True, ladies try to keep their cars neat and often travel long distances much less frequently, but this is not always a rule and it has its downside. Sometimes lady-owned cars are actually driven mostly by their sons or relatives, so the care given to the car is not any better than that dispensed by an average man. One must also know that women are not always as technical as men, and so a lot of the mechanical things that may ail a car may go unnoticed until the problem manifests in a massive expensive way. She may then try to give a cosmetic cover-up to the problem as she tries to sell the car to the next person. If you fall for the lady owner sales gimmick, you may be the one left holding a bag of dung that will be chronically problematic and financially draining. Number 6. Too many sensors in a car are a very bad thing. This is a myth peddled by mostly mechanics who have transferred the same notion to the dealers. Sensors in any part of a car exist to serve a purpose. They also assist in vehicle diagnostics and an array of so many issues. Our mechanics do not want to understand the fine print of the vehicle and expect their old knowledge of old cars to sustain them in an evolving industry. In this aspect, they end up shunning sensors because this requires them to upgrade their skills and start dealing with computers when gauging what's wrong. Never let a dealer talk you out of a car with sensors, because that is actually a car that is able to easily tell you what is wrong with itself if you have the right tools and knowledge. Manufacturers put a lot of time in research and development for these sensors so that they can do a particular job in the car, and if the mechanic doesn't know much, he will blame the manufacturer. Number 7. Ground clearance. Basically, a ground clearance is the distance between the lowest point of the car component and the ground. Kenyan salesmen will always insist that you buy either a sports utility vehicle or a car with high ground clearance, because a high ground clearance will protect the bottom of your automobile from scratches or getting caught on low obstacles. While this is true, they will not tell you that it also means that your vehicle has a higher center of mass, which affects handling and can make your vehicle more prone to rolling during sharp turns at speed. Worse still, most Kenyans who can afford the SUV class rarely need that functionality because they rarely go to the villages. In the end, it depends on how you want to use the vehicle. If you tend to find yourself off-road, higher clearance is better. If you want nimble handling, lower clearance vehicles tend to be better. In summation, the car's reliability or lack of it is not determined by one or two factors alone like most salesmen will lead you to believe. When you want to buy a car, do not just go by opinions of the vendors, they will only sell you what they have in stock. Do your own research, compare cars, do a little window shopping and talk to people who have owned various cars. Their various experiences will help you make better a decision. In most cases, what you want in a car is reliability, comfort and convenience. Find one that combines all that. This is Debunk Kenya. For more video and content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks for watching.